for Chris Paul. We all believe he is going to be on the move prior to next season, so we're going to give you a few potential deals courtesy of our friend Tim Bontemps. Tim cooked all these up on the trade machine, and we want to ask you about the potential fit for CP. At the end, Amin is going to rank all the teams for us as well. So first up, the New York Knicks. Amin, your childhood team. You worked for this team. Fizz, you coached for this team. And here's what it would look like with Chris Paul playing for this team. Our Tim Bontemps provided this potential trade. Because the Knicks have so much cap space available, they could send Dennis Smith Jr. to the Thunder and just absorb Paul's contract. That's that simple. So, Amin, what do you think about his potential fit with the Knicks?
Awful fit. Awful fit on so many levels. Number one, the Knicks' whole thing in the summer of 2019 was, we missed out, but guess what? 2021, big free agents on the way. Let's keep that flexibility. So every deal they signed was like a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal. By doing this deal, they would basically say, you know what, never mind on 2021.
I mean, it is a whole new front office, though, I mean.
I know, I get it, but I think the plan, even though we may not have agreed what they did in the short term, in the long term, the idea of kicking the ball ahead to 2021, that's something that we can get on board with. And when you talk about Chris Paul at his age and that salary over the last couple of years of his deal, it just doesn't fit up with the timeline that the Knicks are on. And then from Chris Paul's perspective, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to a team and help them be an 8 seed and get swept in the first round? That's not what he's looking for at this point in his career.
Well, you know, Amin is absolutely right. I wouldn't wish Knicks on my man Chris Paul, not at this stage of his career. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you talking about a vet who's obviously going to be a Hall of Famer, a team that's on a rebuild, guy looking to, you know, secure his legacy even more by winning a championship. Terrible fit, just like Amin said.
Well, I think ultimately, you know, you can't try to go big game hunting all the time. You may plan for 2021 and think, you know, I got this money and we're going to go. But that doesn't mean you're going to get the guys. I went through it. And so I think the Knicks have to be open to a lot of different things. Would he be a great fit for them? Absolutely. I think he would fit those kids. Mitchell Robinson going to the rim. They get some more spacing and some shooting. Absolutely, he would fit. The big stage, he doesn't get sick. But for him and where he's at in his career, I'm just not sure that that's a good fit for him and what he's trying to do, which is win big.
Having been through it, having been trying to get big free agents to come and have them not land, do you think, Fizz, that the Knicks should change their mindset a little bit and operate almost more, I don't want to say a small market team, but a team that isn't expecting to get a lot of free agents, so they do have to acquire big name players through trades like this?
Well, I just think you got to be, you know, meticulous about building your team and not think that you're just going to land this big shark all the time. And so if you can acquire winning pieces along the way that fit into the mentality you're trying to build into your team, the type of guys you're trying to build and bring into your culture, you snatch them up when you can. And if a big fish is out there, yeah, you take them, but that shouldn't knock you off of what you're trying to do. Or if you see opportunities to improve your team along the way till 2021, you should take those opportunities.
Well, I mean, certainly we saw what Chris Paul can do with young players, the way he mentored those guys in Oklahoma City. I mean,
One thing, Rachel.
Not the New York players.
Exactly. You got to have a plan.
I think
you got to have a plan.
I think that I disagree with him because I think his position.
You coach those players.
Well, his position fits the young players that they have.
Right.
Mitchell Robinson needs a Chris Paul. R.J. Barrett needs a Chris Paul. Kevin Knox needs a Chris Paul. And so, you know, because of the position placement, that's why I say he could end up, especially in the East, in the bottom of that East, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He could squeak them in probably if they add a couple of little things here and there. But for him, I just don't think it's the right move for what he's trying to get out of his career.
All right, well, this group could definitely have this conversation for the entire rest of the show. We're not going to do that. I'm going to move on. The next trade destination possibility, the Milwaukee Bucks, to help you imagine that at home. Here's what it would look like. Chris looks snappy there. Tim Bontemps again with the potential trade. Chris Paul for Eric Bledsoe, Ersan Ilyasova, whose contract has to be guaranteed, Robin Lopez, whose option would have to be picked up, and DJ Wilson to make the salaries match. So, Amin, what do you think about CP3's potential fit with the Bucks?
I think it was a much better fit. You know, they have a need for someone who can create offense not only for himself but for others. I think Giannis in the playoffs, we've seen the offense get stagnant, and it's harder for him to get the buckets that he's accustomed to getting. I think Chris Paul helps with that. I think him being a strong voice and a leader on the court is important for them as well. Look, for every single one of these scenarios, we're going to have a conversation about his age and his contract.
Right.
But if you're Milwaukee, here's the deal. You want to demonstrate to Giannis Antetokounmpo that we do whatever it takes to get a championship. And so that even means inheriting a contract that really doesn't look great from our books perspective, but it helps our chances to get you over the hump. And much like I think about Oklahoma City a few years ago, trading for Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, even though those guys weren't the best fit, what it did was it demonstrated to Russell Westbrook, oh, we're all in here in OKC. I'll sign that extension. And really, mission accomplished from that standpoint.
Yeah.
What do you think of the fit, Biz?
I think it's a great fit. I mean, he checks 3 boxes for Milwaukee. Playmaking, which they desperately needed because Giannis did most of the playmaking for the other guys. Leadership, and then you got a closer. People forget, Chris Paul was one of the best fourth quarter players and
He's the best clutch player,
in the league last year and in his career. And that's something we didn't see from this ball club in Milwaukee. So he checks those 3 boxes for me, and he puts them back in serious championship contention. Not that they weren't last year, but, you know, a lot of people had them getting upset, which they did. But you put Chris Paul in that team, I like them coming out of the East.
And I thought it really hurt them not to have Malcolm Brogdon. I really thought you saw in the playoffs where that playmaking was missing. And so obviously Chris Paul is one of the best to ever do it at that position. And he is a win-now guard. You're talking about Silas being in a win-now situation. That's a win-now decision if you bring him in. And the fact that you don't have to lose Middleton in all of that means that that's a great move for them and for Chris Paul wanting to win right now.
But Zach Lowe reported yesterday there has been nada engagement between the Bucks and the Thunder. Now, it could happen in the future. We don't know. But it is interesting to me that that's everybody in the sort of popcorn seat speculative pick.
Right.
And that the players, the major teams, the major players on the teams involved, apparently not yet. There has not been contact there.
이번에 준비한 영상 시청해 주셔서 정말 감사하고 앞으로 더 흥미롭고 유익한 NBA 내용으로 돌아오겠습니다. 영상 재밌게 보셨다면 구독과 좋아요 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.